Hi, welcome to Baku Industries, where we combine nature's lethal efficiency with calculated human design. It is our pleasure to have you with us today, as it is quite a joyous time indeed. In case you are uninformed, let us paint the full picture. Indeed, a fellow geneticist, Walrus Dreadmere, has dared us to make a hybrid to participate in his upcoming hybrid tournament. And who are we to deny our assets to those that would need them? Now, if you won't mind, we must admit that this invitation was sent a long time ago, and we've been working on this project for quite a long time. There were many setbacks, and we started over many times. The cold storage was getting cramped with all these test subjects, which may or may not be utilized in the future should the need call for it. Now let's go with a rundown of what exactly we signed up for. As the name implies, it'll be a tournament, each round lasting a maximum of 1 hour, in an arena dubbed the Venom Pit, which will have a radius of as little as 100 to as large as 1,000 feet, with an environment which will seek to favor both combatants as equally as possible. As for the combatants themselves, they must be primarily terrestrial. As much as here at Baku Industries, we are fans of the water and everything that lurks within, we understand the impossibility of such a thing to be viable. Next, we are limited to a maximum of 15 contributors, with only 2 of them being allowed to be pre-KPG extinction event species. Good thing we won't require any. Followed up by a weight limit and minimum of 25 tons and 226 kilos respectively, with a pack rule of up to 5 individuals being capable of participating if the weight difference between contestants is large enough. And that our dear witness is where we believe the key lies. Let us elaborate. Naturally, one would think a large megafauna is the most solid option. Go and push for the maximum weight limit and become an unmovable fortress. But in doing so, one guarantees most of the time that they will be outnumbered by up to 5 5-ton hybrids, which is a very bleak scenario, as not only our hypothetical hybrid will be fighting multiple multi-ton enemies, but not only that, it will be fighting against their collective endurance as well. A battle of stamina. The largest of megafauna will not be able to win. Knowing this, the natural solution will be to reach a middle ground, right? A 5-ton pack hunter? Not quite. The same problem rises, and this time it's more evident, as with 5 tons or around that range, one is still capable being affected by the pack rule, and worse of all, they could be paired against an opponent who almost doubles them in weight, which will put them at a direct disadvantage. So, if we are considering the pack mechanics, we at Baku Industries think that we should always push for a scenario where the pack is available. By reducing our asset to the mid to lightweight range, where we are nearly guaranteed to have a pack in our matchups, and should be the other way around, the opponents would require to be so lightweight our asset could deal with them easily. Now, there'll be categories our assets will be judged by during the match. Best of the match, offenses, defenses, environment usage, style, entertainment, congruency, and a vote in the end. We'll have to make some sacrifices in some parts, but overall, we seek to make the most of each. And now, let us begin. Starting off with our base, meet the Greyhound, an ancient, elegant sighthound that's essentially the de facto athletic dog, built by selective breeding to hunt, chase, and outmaneuver prey, with a history stretching back thousands of years, appearing in Egyptian and Mesopotamian art and literature, with a body built to perform their task exceedingly well, with long muscular legs and a deep chest that together produce explosive sprinting power, giving our hybrid a mind focused in the hunt, and a body that is built for speed, the perfect base for our intents and purposes. Continuing with another canid, the African painted dog, a creature that excels in cooperation and endurance, individuals dividing themselves in complementary roles during a hunt and coordinating themselves through body language and vocalization, and being capable of giving pursuit for as much as 26 miles without rest. This donor will be essential, and considering the end result will maintain the canid morphology, it'll be able to utilize these traits provided to its fullest potential. Moving on, with a member from a family of animals that we predict will be used plenty in this competition, that family being the giant ground sloths. While we also assume most will go towards members in the Megatheridiidea superfamily, we have chosen to utilize a member from the Mylodontidae family. That member being Glossotherium, not the largest of the ground sloths, but studies suggest its arms were the strongest among them, having humeri/ish radii with high bending resistance values, implying the strongest forelimbs for forceful strength tasks. Our asset won't be capable of utilizing its arms in the same way a feline or a ground sloth would. But this strengthening of the front limbs will help in supporting the added weight this hybrid will bear, which is showcased by the second trait, common in mylodontids, that being the ossified osteoderms in their skin, acting as chainmail, further protecting our asset. And finally, we are taking the auditory system of the Glossotherium, which will allow our asset to perceive frequencies in infrasound and the ability to produce them, allowing our assets to communicate and perceive vibrations in a similar way modern-day elephants do, providing with an extra layer of sense, possibly sensing opponents before seeing them, and the ability to communicate in complete silence if needed. Next on our list is the Pacific walrus, providing us with a slightly shortened neck alongside thick and strong neck musculature, which will help protect vital areas like the trachea. Later on, we'll also be taking the acid buffering capabilities of said muscles, allowing our asset to tolerate muscle fatigue and long periods of exercise without issues. The Pacific walrus will also help us with heat loss and overheating thanks to its vascular control, redirecting blood away from the skin in order to reduce heat loss or toward highly vascularized surfaces to dump it. This will also give us some style points, as when our asset gets agitated and the fight goes on, its legs, face, and chest will slowly turn red in order to exchange heat and as an intimidatory display. And finally, the walrus will give us its signature trait, those piercing tusks. Granted, they will be shortened in our asset, but that will work in our favor, as it'll be made out of ivory, making it more durable against impacts when comparing it to other conventional saber tooths. Now, we could have also utilized the elephant seal to get many of the benefits, but we are doing our best to stick primarily with creatures that both walk on all four limbs and whose primary method of attack is located in the cranial section in order to maintain congruency, the elephant seal not falling fully into that category. Now, our next donor is the American bison, which will help us with better housing. All these muscles from the walrus and the Glossotherium, with its heightened vertebrae for our leg and neck muscles to attach to providing more support and leverage when exerting force. We'll also be taking its thick, reinforced frontal bones, which will help absorb and distribute impact energy, making our asset more resistant to impacts to the skull, which will help us later on. Continuing with the dromedary camel, providing us with a flexible, leathery pad under each toe, which will allow our assets to traverse in loose, fine terrain like sand without sinking or slowing down too much, alongside a pale clear coat, which will help reflect heat, also providing us with long eyelashes to keep substrate off our asset's eyes, its signature hump, though much smaller, which will be present and will help radiate excess heat, deal with dehydration, and act as a first layer of defense for any attack from above focused in that area, followed up by their closable nostrils, which will aid our assets when faced with chemical defenses akin to those of a skunk. And speaking of defenses, we also predict there will be a lot of quilled opponents in this tournament, so we'll be taking the heavily keratinized papillae and the tough oral mucus of the dromedary, which for its use help it eat cacti without issues, but for our intents and purposes will allow our assets to bite into the thorny bodies of its opponent without nearly as many issues. And lastly, for this section, which has been focused on the more physical aspects, we have Megistotherium, which will only help our asset reach the desired size and weight we are looking for. For our next batch of gene donors, we'll be focusing on more miscellaneous traits, the only exception really being our next donor, which was the reason most of our previously chosen donors were in fact chosen. Introducing the Tasmanian devil, a marsupial that naturally inhabits the island that gives it its namesake. It will provide us with 3 different traits. Number 1, we'll be taking its loud vocal behavior. Now we know we previously mentioned how our assets could communicate silently in infrasound, but there are 2 issues with that. First, making infrasound noises won't be that rare of an ability most likely, and that will probably mean that the enemy can disrupt that communication. So while useful, it will most likely be reduced for ambushes. And the second reason, we have an audience to entertain. With the Tasmanian devil's loud vocal behavior, our assets will roar, growl, and snarl like beasts possessed by the devil itself, intimidating and agitating the competition. The second trait that this marsupial will provide us is an oversized skull with exceedingly strong jaw muscles, which at this scale, sustaining that head and bite will only be possible thanks to all the previously mentioned adaptations from the bison, walrus, and glossotherium. But that's not all, as we'll be taking the devil's ability to open its jaws up to 80 degrees, allowing wide, devastating bites that will prove exceedingly useful to grasp the thick legs of proboscideans or other similarly sized megafauna. Moving on with the short-beaked echidna. And well, the benefit is clear here. We'll be taking its modified hair that form quills and implementing them onto our asset. We'll also take its tongue. In order to lengthen the one in our asset, we'll reveal why soon enough. Following up, it's a classic in the world of hybrid making, which, to be fair, it's just exceedingly great if you know what you are doing. Introducing the short-tailed shrew. It needs no introduction. We'll be taking the iron reinforcement in for the teeth of our assets, as well as the enlarged molars, followed up by the Toxin that is naturally produced in their saliva, an enzyme that converts kininogens into kinins, which in turn causes drastic blood pressure drops, paralysis, and respiratory failure in those affected. Continuing with another classic, we have the vampire bat, which will provide us with the ability to deal with any of the iron-induced issues that the short-tailed shrew would have given us, and incorporating the notorious anticoagulant Draculin into our asset's saliva. But we are gonna make a bit of a stretch here. Whether this is or isn't allowed, in the end will be up to the ruling. But animals that get repeatedly targeted by vampire bats show a developed resistance to Draculin. What does this have to do with our hybrid? Well, our hybrid, if it hasn't been evident, is a social creature with numerous donors who primarily socialize through biting, which would in turn end up with assets raised in a pack setting, developing a sort of natural resistance to the glycoprotein and Blaureina toxin. We'll let Mr. Dreadmire decide on this one. And to finalize the triad of classics, we have the Virginia opossum, with its lethal toxin neutralizing factor for our assets in order to deal with a myriad of toxins should they find their way in. Next on our list, we have a donor that will cement our assets' defenses and will turn them into a fearless brawler. Yes, we are talking about the honey badger. We'll be taking some of its behavioral traits that allow it to be so bold and, for lack of a better word, fearless when faced with danger. Its sharp, long claws, which will give our assets enlarged claws, which both will aid it in clawing at opponents, but most importantly, it will enhance their traction and provide essential grip during high-speed maneuvers, allowing for sharp, quick turns and help manage the impact. And it'll also help us with shrinking parts of the body that are at risk of being bitten in a brawl, like the ears and the tail. Finally, we'll also obviously be taking the thick, loose skin, allowing our asset to turn around and attack within its own hide. This trait works exceedingly well with the Glossotherium's pebble-like osteoderms and the quills of the echidna, the result being an exceedingly flexible, armored and thorny hide all at the same time, which will be a nightmare for anything that wants to bite through it. If our previous donor turned our hybrid into a brawler, this next one will elevate it to a berserker. Introducing the naked mole rat, which firstly will help us double down with the bite strength of our asset, but most importantly, it will provide us with its paint tolerance, making our asset insensitive to acid, capsaicin, and inflammatory pain. Many pain signals need chemical messengers to carry the alarm from the skin up to the spinal cord and onto the brain, and naked mole rats naturally have almost none of these in their nerves. In general, the naked mole rat's nervous system seems to be exceedingly bad at transmitting pain signals, which in a fight scenario will help our assets push and go beyond any other creature in a fight. And finally, concluding with our 15th and final donor, we have the slow loris, a small primate native to regions of Southeast Asia and holder of two particular traits. The first one being the presence of extradorsal vertebrae, which allow them to rotate their torso independently from their abdomen, this coming in exceedingly handy during a grapple. Paired with the honey badger's loose skin, it will allow our asset to position itself much more easily in order to retaliate should it be taken to the ground, as well as allowing it to perform quick, sudden changes of direction while running easily as well. But out of the two traits, that one was by far the more obscure one. Slow lorises are primarily known for being one of the only mammals that are venomous, possessing a brachial venomous gland on the upper part of their arms, which when mixed with their saliva, activates the venom ready to be delivered through a bite. The venom itself causing intense pain, severe swelling, and necrotic wounds with the more severe effects including allergic reactions, anaphylactic shock, respiratory issues, and death. But that's not all of it, as slow lorises have been seen coating themselves and members of their family in their toxin for protection. Do you understand where we are going? We told you the echidna's long tongue would be useful later on for our assets. The tongue itself is useful in helping coat the toxin in their fur on their own, or through the help of packmates. But our assets possess two other compounds present in their saliva, the short-tailed shrew's Blaureina toxin and the vampire bat's Draculin, all which will be coated in their fur, which will in turn be covered by, you guessed it, quills, which will help deliver the coated toxins and anticoagulant deep inside their opponents. As if it wasn't difficult enough to bite or grapple these creatures, successfully doing so will most likely mean envenomation, suffering from a wide range of effects that carry both instantaneous and long-term consequences. And the opossum can only carry you so far. It is with great pleasure we present to you Orcosian carnifex, the butchering orc dog. Standing at a shoulder height of 1.2 meters, a length of 1.6 meters, and a weight of a ton, this ferocious canid still retains most, if not all, of the agility it's known for, being capable of reaching speeds of 45 miles per hour, all during prolonged periods of time. Its anatomy allowing for quick and sudden changes of direction, all while being compact and well defended, with a hide that could best be described as chainmail, covered in barbed wire, which just so happened to be coated in a cocktail of toxins. With adaptations that allow it to thrive in arid shrublands, being capable of running across the fine, loose terrain without issues, and with a coat perfect for reflecting the relentless sun, its skin turning bloody red during the heat of battle, and to rid itself of said heat, this paired with its ability to deal with lactic acid, a compact fat reserve which further radiates heat and its natural-born stamina. It's a creature that will be relentless, and relentless it will be, with a mind which knows no fear and a borderline unnatural tolerance to pain. It is a berserker, starved for blood in battle, armed with sharp claws, strong limbs, and most importantly, a devastating bite, with enlarged molars and two ivory conical tusks, which both will be further reinforced by iron. This combination has created armor-piercing and bone-crunching jaws capable of exerting a bite strength of up to 24 kilonewtons, and with the ability to open its mouth up to 80 degrees, it nearly guarantees an optimal bite with every use. Paired to its reinforced papilla, it will bite through quills, armor, flesh, and bone, each bite threatening to crunch and grind the bones of anything caught in it. And as if that wasn't crippling enough, Orcosian carnifex leaves a gift with every bite, with a saliva coated in Toxin, slow loris venom, and anticoagulant properties. The victim will not only be left most likely crippled, but suffering from a plethora of painful, debilitating symptoms and blood loss, which will cause it to slowly perform worse in battle. Now picture everything mentioned and multiply it by up to 5 times. 5 fast, agile, fearless, stubborn, toxic, and armored beasts, each and every one of them, with the ability to cripple and get through the thickest of armors, all while being perfectly coordinated. Now, the orc dog is perfectly capable of dealing with similarly heavy opponents on its own, but it definitely excels when backed up with a pack, each pack member with a key role to play, which will turn any battle into a hunt. Valus Dreadmire, we hope our assets meet the standards. Your public will be thoroughly entertained, we bet.